Hey, this is Steve from Hurst Performance. Today I'm happy to introduce our new Billet Plus shifter for the 6th generation Camaro, equipped with a 2.0 liter and 3.6, both with a TR3160 manual transmission. But please check our website for more details on the different makes, models, and years that this exactly fits. Now, this Billet Plus shifter here is made from billet aluminum. It's got a durable black anodized finish on it, a great ergonomic fit and feel, a classic pistol grip shifter handle style to it. It's going to reduce the throw by 40%, and it's backed up by a lifetime limited warranty. Now, the tools for the job are basic hand tools, can be found in most common toolboxes with no specialty tools required. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get the shifter installed in this Camaro here. Okay, we got a 2017 Camaro RS here. We're going to get ready to install that new Hurst Billet Plus shifter. But first, we're going to get the old shifter out. So we're going to go ahead and start here with the interior trim piece. Okay, first, we're going to remove this chrome bezel right here. I'm going to carefully just pull up here on the side. And then pull up on this side. And then we're going to take a small little pry tool here. We're going to try to get underneath this. Okay, we're going to push this leather boot up all the way to expose a torque bolt on the driver's side. Once we unbolt the torque bolt, the shift knob will come up and this whole assembly will remove. Okay, now the shift knob will just pull straight up. Then we'll go ahead and set this aside. Okay, next we're going to remove the rubber boot. We're just going to pull up on it. Okay. Okay, we're going to remove these two 10mm bolts. And then there's two 10mm bolts up here. Okay, we got our 4 bolts out. Now we're going to go underneath the car. We got to remove a couple more components underneath, and then we can get that stock shifter out. Okay, we're underneath our vehicle. We're going to start off by removing the whole exhaust system first. We're going to start off with this bracket right here. Then we're going to undo this clamp, loosen up these 2 bolts, and remove this flange. And then we got 2 brackets in the back that are holding the muffler on. And then there's these 2 hangers right here that are holding the pipes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to start with this support bracket right here. Okay, we're going to put a stand underneath the resonator right here. This is just going to help hold everything in place when we start loosening everything up. Okay, next we're going to loosen up this clamp here. Okay. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and disconnect the bracket that holds onto the muffler. There's a nut right here. And then there's another nut right here. Next, we're going to unplug the active valve sensor for the exhaust. There's a gray locking tab. We're going to push up on that to unlock it. And then now we're going to squeeze the pigtail here for the sensor. I'll unplug. Okay. Okay, this one here has a gray tab on top also. You're going to unlock it and squeeze the pigtail and it'll come undone. And there it is. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and disconnect the exhaust here at the flange and here at the clamp. Now how we're going to achieve this is we're going to take a rubber mallet and we're going to use it as leverage against the pipe and the crossmember here. We're going to push towards the back and it's going to break these 2 loose for us. All right. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and remove this hanger. Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and disconnect this side. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and remove this hanger, and there's one more on the other side. Those are the last two components holding the exhaust system up. And again, make sure you have a jack stand underneath the exhaust to help you hold it up. Okay, now we're going to just slide the exhaust back and then slowly come out with it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and down with the exhaust since we got the front pipes completely loose. Okay, now we're just going to set our exhaust system down and out of the way. Next, we're going to remove the 4 bolts that hold on this black tunnel brace right here. Okay, next we're going to remove this heat shield here. There's 3 bolts on this side and 3 bolts on this side. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and take off the drive shaft coupler bolts that bolt the drive shaft to the transmission. It's going to be these 3 silver bolts. There's one right here, and then one right up above. Now the first 2 bolts, you want to have them straight across like this, so you have access to the nut on the back side. And once these 2 are loose, go ahead and rotate the drive shaft so you get the last one out. Okay, before you remove these bolts, you want to mark the coupler and the transmission so you know the correct orientation of the coupler when it goes back on. So we're going to make a line on the coupler and then straight across the line on the transmission. Okay, we're going to do the same thing like we did in the front. We're going to remove just the isolator bolts that go through the rubber isolator on the drive shaft to the differential here. It's these 3 silver bolts. We're going to go ahead and remove them. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 bolts that hold the bracket to the carrier bearing on the drive shaft. Okay, now we got the carrier bearing loose. We're going to go ahead and remove the drive shaft. We're going to start from the back here. Push forward. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and slide the front out. Okay, next we want to put a stand underneath the transmission to support it. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 bolts on each side of the crossmember, and then we're going to separate the crossmember from the body and leave the crossmember bolted to the transmission. So we're going to allow the transmission to drop down a little bit. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and lower down the transmission enough till we get access to the pins that are holding the shifter to the transmission. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and pull these pins off that hold the shifter to the transmission. Okay, we're going to pull this pin out. There's a little push tab on the end of it. Just got to push it in and pull. Okay. You're going to take another flat blade screwdriver, stick it in between the transmission and the shifter right here, and you're just going to have to roll this pin till it hits that lock, and then pull at the same time. Okay. Okay, here's that pin that we took out of the shifter. Here's the little spring-loaded lock that we pressed down with the flat blade screwdriver. Now you got to press it down with the flat blade screwdriver, pull it 3/4 of the way out, then you're going to stick the screwdriver again in between the shifter and the transmission housing, and then roll the pin as you're pulling, and then eventually hit that lock again, and then you can pull it out the rest of the way. Okay, got the other pin out. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and pull this pin off, and it's got a little C-clip right here. We're just going to just push up the flat blade screwdriver to remove the clip. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and pull the pin out, and the shifter will come off. Here's the pin. And we'll pull the stock shifter off. Okay, we got the stock shifter assembly out of the vehicle. We're ready to go ahead and put this on the workbench and install that new Hurst Billet Plus shifter. Okay, we got our stock shifter here on the bench. This is the front section of the shifter. This is the back section. We're gonna go ahead and roll it on its side. And now we're gonna go ahead and remove this clip right here. This is gonna remove the shift rod. You just wanna make sure you pay attention to the orientation when putting it back together. So again, we're gonna go ahead and just take this clip off. Okay, next we're going to remove these two bolts right here. It's going to remove the shifter mounting ring, and then you'll be able to separate the shifter from the housing. And I'm just going to pull the shifter out from the housing. Okay, here's the new Hurst Billet Plus shifter here. We're going to go ahead and put some grease onto the O-ring portion. Okay, after we got it all greased, we're going to go ahead and use the two countersunk Allens supplied in the kit. We're going to put the shifter into the housing now and then bolt it in place. Okay, we got it pushed in all the way. And again, we're going to go ahead and screw in countersunk Allen supplied in the kit. Okay. Okay, next we're going to reinstall the shift rod. We're going to put some grease inside this bushing here. Okay. And again, we got to make sure the orientation that we took it out. So the orientation was inside like this. Okay, we got our shift rod installed in the correct orientation, just like we took it off. Also, the pivot block has an orientation. On one side, the bushing is going to have a flange, and the other side, the bushing here does not have a flange. The flange side is going to go against this shift rod right here, and then this other side here will not have the flange, and that will allow for the C-clip to go on. Okay, ready to go ahead and put the shifter back in. First, we're going to connect the shift rod to the transmission. So we're going to slide this up in place. Now we're going to go ahead and put some grease onto the pin. Slide it back in. Okay. Now we're going to put the clip in. Okay. Okay, next we're going to put the two locking pins in. Again, we're going to go ahead and put some grease on the pins. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and jack up the transmission and reinstall the crossmember here. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the drive shaft in. Before we do that, we want to make sure our mark is lined up. So this is the one that was marked, and now we're going to line up the mark that was on the rubber coupler. That's not right. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the drive shaft bolts back in. Go ahead and put some Loctite onto the threads. Go ahead and reinstall these. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the heat shield on. Okay, next we're going to put the tunnel brace on. It does have a little arrow right here, and it's going to be pointing forward towards the engine. So we're going to go ahead and put this in. Okay, we got our drive shaft in place. We made sure the isolator and the coupler is lined up in the correct location. Went ahead and tightened down everything down to the factory torque specs. Now we're ready to go ahead and put the exhaust on. Okay, we got the exhaust bolted in. We went ahead and re-plugged in the 2 active valve sensors back there. Now we're going to go ahead and put on the brace. Okay, we got everything underneath here reinstalled. Now we're ready to go back into the interior side and finish the shifter. Okay, we got our stock shift knob, boot, and then the bezel here. We're going to go ahead and flip it upside down. Turn it inside out. Now inside the shift knob right here, there's a black tab right here and a black tab right there. We're going to push those tabs in and we're going to remove this black collar. That's what actually holds the shift knob onto the boot. Now I'll go ahead and pull the stock knob off. Now this was glued on there, so you just got to slightly pull on the leather boot to unglue it. Okay, next we're going to stick the Hurst shifter handle through. Make sure the orientation is correct. This is the back of the shifter. This is the front part of the shifter. So it's going to go through like this. Now you want to push it in just enough past the bolt hole. So there's our bolt hole. And then there's a grooved area right here. We're going to go ahead and put on the zip tie that's supplied in the kit. Okay, so that's how it should look. Okay, got the new shift handle onto the factory leather boot. Now there's a groove right here on the shifter handle. That's where this zip tie is sitting on there. Now we're ready to go back into the interior side and finish buttoning it up. Okay, we're going to reinstall the 4 bolts to hold the shifter on to the floor. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put this isolator boot on to the Hurst shifter handle. We're going to push it up all the way to meets the bottom of that bolt hole. Okay, like so. And again, you want to make sure your orientation is correct. This says front right here, and this is the front part of the shifter bezel. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put some grease that came in the kit onto these O-rings here. There's 3 O-rings. Okay, now we're going to slide the shifter handle on. Now we've got 2 bolt holes, one on this side, one on this side. You want to make sure the orientation is correct with the shifter. So when you slide this down, you got both holes lined up. So we're going to go ahead and slide this down. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the shoulder bolt on with this little isolator. Now that the 2 holes are lined up. Okay, so we got this tightened down. Now we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. So we're going to hinge it here in the front first, and then press down. And then go ahead and take our hand, and we're just going to push the leather boot down. Okay, we finished up the install here on our Hurst Billet Plus shifter for the 6th generation Camaro, equipped with a 2.0 liter and the 3.6, both with TR3160 manual transmissions. Now you can see here, this has got a great ergonomic fit and feel, really nice short shift to it, and it's got a classic pistol grip shifter handle to it. Now the installation time on this was roughly about 3 to 4 hours. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe to our Hurst YouTube channel and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.